What have you been noticing in your life? I mean, throughout your inner your coming and your goings and your experience, what have you been noticing? I mean, we have to. I mean, we do. I mean, some people do on a higher level, some people do on a lower level. Some people just kind of trudge through life and they take it as it comes. They say, "Hey, what's happening?" And the happenings and whatever goes on in their life. That is basically their observation. They say, "Well, don't take it too seriously," and I agree with that. Don't take life too seriously. But you will spend your time, especially through the times that's going to cause you to have a lot of hard questions to begin to observe. You will pay attention. You'll pay attention to what makes certain things happen at certain times. For instance, you could be doing certain things in your life, and it's like when a switch is switched on, a light in a room. Um, you're able to see things more clearly, right? When the light is switched on. In the light of that clarity, a lot of stuff that is happening starts happening in your life becomes more clearer. And what I mean by that is that there's gonna be less, just like in a day when the sun is shining and it's such a good day and the weather is just right. It's like that kind of day. It is in your life where all the conditions have been met that causes you to say, this is a good day. Before these good days happen, and everyone goes through this, you will have those days that will cause you to ask, what has changed in my environment? People, because we are so interconnected with people, people have a way of changing your environment just by one introduction of who they are, or even sometimes we don't see it, what they're bringing into your life. Some people come with gifts, and some people come with wrapped poison. And before and after they bring it and they leave. And it's only after you open up the present, which is where you are right now, you're either surprised or you're horrified. It is so important in the observation as you see things clearly and you keep the sight as of a good day, that you are very well aware that the cloudiness that has come into your life and the things that are going on is all relatable to one thing's equals another. One thing joins to the next thing. A lot of us, when we live our lives and I mean, you will meet people that are totally unaware, especially the way they will do things in the environment that will have a ripple effect. And you'll kind of, because from the outside, you're from the outside looking into their life. You will observe that they are operating on a level that you don't agree with. And in the land and in the name of observation, it is highly important that you don't only observe, but you observe for the reason to make a decision of what is changing your environment or who is changing your environment with the what. Who brings what? It could be anything. People make choices. People make choices in their life as to how they are going to introduce certain aspects that's going to keep them on the same cycle that equates a very cloudy and a very horrific day. And you'd be amazed, and I've seen this. I hate to each his own, But you amazed how many people actually do like cloudy days. They like the winter months. They don't mind the drab and the dregs and stuff like that. And you know, to each his own. Everyone has their own psychological makeup and their own the way they're wired, right? But something I've observed: the bright, sunny sunshine. As I said, that people are who are sun seekers, right? Is that these kinds of people have a certain type of mentality and perceptions and perspective on life that they're a magnet for a much more higher level of living and a much higher state of being of who they are being, right? So their existence have much more lightheartedness. You go into their homes, you'll find that that their windows are probably the blinds are open. They have much more light coming into their house. They like to have lights on. They don't care to have a drabby kind of environment. And even with the way they are, and I mean, I may be wrong in this, they are probably, and they'll probably be more minimalist. They don't like stuffiness. I remember there was one time this lady, place I was at, you know, I'm kind of a consistent guy. I like to have my place clean. I don't like having. I mean, I'm not a clean freak as to be a total freak show, but I like the place clean. And I feel if you see a certain accumulation of dust or whatever, if you have some time, it doesn't hurt to vacuum it up or pick it up and move it on. Right? Get rid of it. It tells a lot about your psyche, who you are. Anyway, this lady came to visit, and she was kind of like a kind of a bit of a dozy, all over the place kind of a person, right? And she didn't mind, to say the least, to live in her filth. From what I gathered from just observing her, she was kind of you would say if a person is eaten a certain way, they kind of have their stuff on their hands. Some people use a napkin. This is the kind of person that would kind of take their hand and without, when you're not looking, kind of rub it on your furniture, right? But something I observe is that she was only there for about a week. And lo and behold, I notice the dust, the accumulation of dust in the environment increased on a higher level than when she wasn't there. Man, I'll tell you something. We really are. When people say we're energy, man, you better believe we are. And some people have a magnetic, actually, we all do, but they have the ions, the negative ions that are operating with them. You know, Jesus said something that you will know people who are not from God by their fruits, right? I'm not equating it to this lady, okay? I'm just making an analogy here. The area of fruit. If you spend more time and in your observation, the one thing, if your atmosphere is of a cleaner and a much more positive generator, there's more, the ions in the environment are generating life, given electrons, right? Some people can come in and they can negate those ions. And they've shown us even in science too, and so on and so forth. And don't let people fool you and tell you, oh, this is this. We live in a yin and a yang, and without the positive, there can't be the negative, and blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. When God allowed the curse upon this earth, the earth became charged with the absence of God. And God is all positive. That's why he kicked them out of the Garden of Eden, because they became so polluted by what they did. And the story doesn't really go in depth. It's what that on a transcendent level, what really happened to Adam and Eve when they not only partook of that fruit, what was that fruit that the devil gave them? Because he was so corrupted. I mean, people have done, they've done studies, they have movies on it too, and when people become demon possessed, what really happened to these fallen angels? How bad of a deterioration state did they enter into? You have to spend your life, and when you are in an environment or your environment gets changed, and you are well aware that something is not right, you have to become extremely observant as to what's going on and don't pass on it. This is where people get very laxed. They get very too relaxed with the social attitude instead of the spiritual attitude of how we view life. I've been into homes. I've been and slept over with some people, some places, and I remember this one guy. He hates God. Yeah, and it just comes out in some things he says, you know. But I remember I was sleeping in one of the rooms, and something was in the other room, and I couldn't. I just knew there was something there, and you know, I prayed and I said, God, I don't know what's going on, but you know, I was led now to go open up the door in the other room and turn on the light, and I was led to this bag. I opened up the bag, and inside there was all these DVDs, and one of them right on top of it, you know what it was? It said Spawn, and it was the most grotesque looking awfulness. The thing is about people, whatever they're doing in their life, guaranteed that we are a portal, and we're either opening up the doors to the dark side, or we're opening up the doors to heaven that comes down as a sun shining, as a ray of light into our life. So I don't know how much I made. I tried to bring my words together today, but you get the gist of where I'm going with this. Observation is really important. It is the key. Staying aware, being awake, that your environment is guaranteed to change when it's something else that of an other kind is introduced to it. And it's of utmost importance that you do your best to get rid of what has now changed your environment, because guaranteed, and this is where it hits home, it will hit your wallet. Guaranteed. Finances is a very powerful form of energy in our lives, and we don't want it to be contaminated. Because to be made and to be enabled to be of a wealthy, well being kind of person, compromise and contradiction guarantee will stop the flow of life in your life. So have a good day and do like and subscribe. Much appreciated. Thank you.